So very good morning to all of you who are here, and I'd really encourage that you switch on your videos, please, so that at least I get to see you all.
Oh, I thought the
Because
okay.
no, I mean, I'm saying to the others, because it's nice to see your faces and connect with you, especially because of the subject that we are going to deal with. It's all about human connection, emotions, and feelings. So it'll be really nice to see your faces. Thank you so much. That's I'm really honored that so many of you responded to my request. Um, so I'm Ragini Rao. I'm a psychotherapist, a trainer, and a life coach. I have been in this work for the last, I think, over 25 years, and I live in Bangalore. I I'm a TSTA, as we call it, which is a teaching and supervising transaction analyst. And I have an accreditation from the ITA, which is the International Transaction Analysis Association. And I'm also the current president of the South Asian Transaction Analysis Association, which is headquartered in Bangalore, and which includes all the South Asian regions, basically. So we have, while the ITA is the parent body, we have many regional organizations, and this is the South Asian one, for which I'm the president. I also have, I'm a co-founder of a company that we formed 3 years back, and we do a lot of
Hi,
online training
Shally.
programs.
Can
We have learning videos, and we recently started our
can you
therapy and
join on the
counseling
Zoom link?
services,
Because
and
there
we
is a
have a
conference going
set
on
of
in the health and wellness session is on the other link.
a whole team of therapists and counselors who work for us.
Yes, I emailed all the
And
participants
of course, this
twice.
is
So if you
completely
look at today's
online
email,
as of
I'll
now.
paste it here also.
However,
I'll paste it
we
here
will
also.
look at if we want to move
I'll just
offline. But
paste it
right
in the
now,
chat
the
box.
therapy services are
Hold
online.
on, I'll paste
Yeah?
it now. I haven't
And my
pasted it
company
yet.
is called
I will
Infinum
paste it
Growth.
now.
You can see it on my Zoom window also. And I'm sure Abhijit can share with you our website address, and
Can you see?
you can
Please
all
join.
check out later about our organization. And if you're interested, you can always write to us about any of the um, services that we provide. Okay, so that much for now. And let me come to, bring focus to what we are here today. So today I want to speak to you all about um, mental health and emotional wellness. I think it's become a very important concern and need right now. And I think the pandemic has really kind of, what do I say, triggered the need for it even more. To people to look at it, people to understand it, people to seek help. It's really, I think, this has stirred and triggered the whole need for it. In fact, a recent survey that was done by the ICMR actually states that there are 1 in 7 people are going through some kind of a mental instability. Yeah. And 42.5% of Indians working in the private sector are, going through some kind of an emotional problem. So it is really, really high, the occurrence. And so therefore, this is not to scare anybody or, kind of put people in a, sort of, not sound cynical, but to really say that we need to pay attention to it. We need to wake up to this part of our lives which we have been not giving so much attention. So, what is this emotional and mental health? So, my session today is going to be in two parts. The first part is going to be a little bit of information for you on what is emotional health, what happens when we don't have it. Yeah. And the second part is going to be more, activity and exercise oriented, where you can really, it'll be more experiential, and that's how I've planned it. Yeah. Any any questions at this point before I start sharing my slides, and anything that's coming up for you as you heard me say all this? And love to have more videos on, if you can manage it.
Yeah, so let me kickstart the questions.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this data on the mental health thing, is it divided based on any particular geographical? Usually in this kind of data, there are some other trends, sub trends, right?
Hmm.
Do some professions are some professions more stressful than others? So
Yes,
as
yes, definitely. I think the software profession, I mean, people in the IT industry definitely are stressed. People who have their own startups, I think, are definitely more stressed. So I think, and of course, due to the pandemic, I think our health workers surely, I mean, they have
yeah.
every reason to be stressed. So yeah, I'm sure there are um, you know, pockets and areas where people are, professions where people are more stressed,
Shreyas, can you
surely.
join in the Zoom link that is
Yeah.
mentioned in the chat window?
So basically, work from home has not helped anyone or
Yes?
majority of the people then.
Yeah, that I think there's a mixed opinion about that. I find some people find working from home very convenient because they say they've got more time with their children, they've managed. But I think for a lot of people, it's also been a kind of overlap of boundaries, difficulty to draw your boundaries. Yeah, there's, suddenly if you have a 5 minute break from work, then you think, okay, maybe I can attend to something in the kitchen, or maybe I can go to the store and pick up something. Yeah, so we tend to juggle. Yeah, we tend to juggle with a whole lot of things, and that becomes sometimes even work seems to be gone till 9 because you've taken a break in the afternoon, say, to attend to your kids homework and stuff like that. So then work gets extended to, say, evenings. So I've had people who are coming, I just know, there's no space, there's no free time at all. Yeah.
Right.
So there are people complaining like that too. Yeah. So yeah, um, I think it is about not being able to balance also, sometimes I find. And I think balance is easy said than done, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because I see
Okay.
students are struggling quite a bit with this. Initially, it was great
Yeah.
because they didn't have to attend classes, but
Yeah.
now it's turned on its head. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Surely the youngsters, I think the graduate students, and then the school going children, I think it's been awful. Yeah. I just recently met one of my nephew's son, who's just a 10-year-old or 12-year-old, and is so bright and think says, I hate these online classes. I mean, I could see the hate. His expression was telling me how angry he was. Yeah. So that's reality for us now. Hi, Harish. Harish says he's from Mangalore. So I have a Kannadiga here. Okay. Any other question? Otherwise, I will start with my slides, I think. So then we can. Okay. So like I said, my first part of my session, the first 20 minutes is going to be really sharing with you some thoughts that I have put down on emotional and mental well-being. And then we will take it further on how emotional well-being is an important aspect to build resilience in us. And that's going to be the second part of my session. So, what is mental health or emotional health? This is what the WHO has defined as a state of well being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Yeah? So, really, the ability to manage our everyday
Mr.
work
Bhavesh,
and
could you
doing
join in
just
on the
what we
Zoom
were
link?
talking about right now.
The Zoom
Yeah.
link is mentioned in the chat. Please join there. Can you hear me?
I think somebody's got their person to mute.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Can you guys mute, please? Leave the webcam or video on, but please mute.
yeah. Well, am I? Can I mute them?
No, yeah, I think you should be able to mute everyone.
Okay. Okay. Don't know who it is. Not able to figure out. Okay. So, sorry, it's just jumped. Yeah. So, what I was saying is really the state of well being is when we are able to manage our basic everyday life situations. Yeah. That is emotional well being. Yeah. We're able to manage it with, with a sense of comfort, with a sense of that I'm able to, I can do it. It's possible for me to handle it. Yeah, that's what is emotional health. So, what is the impact of emotional health on our lives? It defines who we are as a person. It brings energy into everything we do. It allows us to be calm and composed, enables us to do our best, and we learn to take care of ourselves by being mindful of our needs and makes us a caring and compassionate person. So, if you really, while these may seem like words, but if you really apply it to yourself, yeah, um, what does it really mean? It means that, yeah, and there are some days when you feel really energetic and you feel good about going about your everyday life. And there are times when we all feel down. We feel, yeah, I can't manage it. And that's normal for all of us to go up and down. But it is when there are long periods of feeling not okay, feeling that I can't manage. That is when we know that something needs to be attended to. Yeah, and we'll come to that soon. So, how do we become dysfunctional? Yeah? When we are not able to think and feel at the same time, we are not able to focus on any task, and handling inability to handle pressures. Yeah, there are too many things on your plate. Yeah, so you have a deadline to meet or a class to take, and suddenly your child has come up with saying, I have a project to finish and I need your help, or there's some other emergency at the home front. So all you feel overwhelmed with all these things. That is when and this is not just a one day thing. I think all of us have it at some times. Yeah, few days in a month or few times it happens. But I think when consistently one is feeling overwhelmed with situations, that is an indicator of that there is something to be attended to. And again, how else does it impact us in a negative way? It's difficulty in engaging with colleagues and clients. Yeah, you become defensive to negative feedback. So what is it? When people tell you something, you are not able to take it. You get upset, or you go into a shell. Inability to express emotions appropriately, and you either withdraw or you become reactive. So I think the crux of all this is because when we have a headache or when we have fever, we are quick to go to a doctor and figure out, or there's a pain in the arm or pain in the leg, whatever. Yeah, any physical discomfort, we are so quick to go to a doctor and attend to it, right? But when it comes to our emotional health, when it is about feeling anxious or feeling overwhelmed, or maybe I've been feeling weepy for the last few days, it never occurs to me that I should go to a doctor. And that is why, because one, there is a stigma attached to it. Second, I think we have been just conditioned that these things don't need attention. Yeah? Most people think of mental illness as a weakness and try to hide it and not admit it to themselves. There is a sense of shame and guilt. And that is what also stops us from seeking help. And actually, what happens is when you don't seek help, you start feeling more isolated, and other people don't understand it. So you may actually land up feeling discriminated, or people kind of brand you or label you with names. It's very unfortunate, but that's how the cultural conditioning is. And so to really know that mental health, taking care of our mental health is a fundamental right. Yeah, it's as important as physical health. There is no need to feel ashamed. We need to believe and propagate that people with mental illness deserve to live with their lives with dignity and confidence. Yeah, it's extremely important to take care, because we do know that when we don't take care of our mental health, it impacts our body, because of the mind-body connection. When the mind is ill, the body also picks it up, right? And the body reacts to that illness. So how can we take care of ourselves? We can practice resilience and self-care, seek help when you need it, maintain and enhance your social networks, engage in regular exercise and leisure activities, talk to your employer about your mental health, and know your rights. Yeah? I know that for a fact that a lot of, at least the IT companies in Bangalore, have through their employee assistance program, EAP, have counselors or some person who is you can reach out to and talk to. Many organizations have that facility now. I can see something on the chat. Okay. So how do we also help others? Yeah. It's often that we could see our colleagues, we could see some of our friends or family members go through sometimes. And how do we help them? We can help them. We can tell them directly that we would like to help. We can listen to them without judgment and offer support. We can encourage them to see a professional. Yeah? And of course, if you think that the person is really very needs immediate help, then of course you should not leave them alone. Yeah. Okay. So, oops. Yeah. So, of course, there are, emergency services and healthcare professionals in every place nowadays, at least, or reach out to somebody you know who may know. So these are ways in which you can help people, help yourself, and help people. And of course, I'm just very briefly like to take you through how counseling and therapy helps. Um, Counselors and therapists, at least mostly, I'm not saying all because there are always exceptions, but counselors and therapists are qualified, caring people. It's genuinely a unique source of support that one gets from a real human interaction. It's a safe place to express and release our feelings, which have been suppressed for long. And I think you don't have to feel alone when you have a problem. I think that is an important aspect that you understand when you seek this help. And of course, talking to a counselor helps because they're unbiased and non-judgmental. And they also provide an objective and a different perspective for you. Yeah? And they have the expertise to guide you in improving the quality of our life. And it helps to increases and develops your self-awareness. Yeah? So it's not about, counseling is not about giving advice. It is about a space where you can say whatever you want to and feel safe. It's a space for that. I think one needs to understand that. Okay. So any thoughts and reflections on so far what we have covered? Anybody?
Yeah, I have a quick question, which
Yes.
is, uh, if you look at a typical, institution like IIT, where you have lots and lots of students, right?
Right.
Or any other university across India. I'm talking about universities because we are all academics here.
Right.
So the number of psychologists or counselors who are available per student, right? For every student, it's very, very less, right? So you probably have one counselor for the entire institute of thousands and thousands of students, which is a real issue. So in such cases, what are your recommendations if someone wants to seek help? I have actually faced this problem as a faculty advisor where some students needed help. And the best I could do was to just redirect them to the counselors in the who are there at IIT. But in case, I'm not even sure about other universities, whether they have these options at all. So what would you recommend people do if they are faced with this problem? If they want to seek help, how do they find help?
So I think the important, definitely, I mean, if it's not available within the, within the university, then they have to seek outside. Yeah. And really to look up in your city, or I mean now because everything is online, I think there are many online services that are available. Of course, I don't know if there's a directory for mental health, a list of mental health services given, but definitely if you go online now, there are services available. Yeah? So I would say to seek help, and I would actually encourage the university, and as faculty, you can also request the university to maybe have more counselors or psychologists for such a large number of people, right?
Yes, that's right. So, but I think maybe I can state my question differently. So, if you look at online help, right? So it's very hard to discriminate between which is a legitimate source and which is not. As you said, it's hard. So I was looking to find out if there is any centralized body. Is there like an Indian Counselors Association or something like that, which kind of accredits practitioners, so that we can say, okay, at least this person is affiliated to this and therefore is reliable. We can redirect our students there, or even our colleagues or ourselves.
Okay. So unfortunately, there's no one nodal body like that. But I would say that, if you take some of the professional bodies, like for instance, like I talked about our SATA, the South Asian Transactional Analysis Association, or if you look at the Psychoanalytical Association of India, yeah. So some of these, or the Jungian. So there are these 3-4 where you can go online and see if you can, through that you can contact, because these are all professional bodies, right? So you can trust that you will find a qualified professional here, because otherwise you're right that for a layman to go online and check, and you don't know whether it is a a credible organization or service, you wouldn't know, right? So therefore, to go to some of these professional, maybe I can in the end put down in the chat box also.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Any other question or reflection, whatever?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Abhijit here.
Yeah.
So as a follow-up to Amuthan's question, it will be good if there is a set of practices that we can prescribe, because we are not professionals in this. But students, my thought is that it's not a good thing to wait till the situation goes to a point where you really need help from a professional. If there are, like, preventive medicine basically, so if there are ways to or if there are some set of guidelines or some literature material where students can read this or look at it and say, okay, these are the things I need to do to prevent a bad situation from getting worse, or at least identifying that I am in a bad situation. Rather, actually, with the online thing, that has become very difficult. It's very difficult even for educated people to figure out what a bad situation is, because we don't know what the normal is. So that way, that would also be very helpful, actually. So any directions on that, in the sense, any where we can say, okay, if these things are happening, then you are in.
Yeah. So today,
one second, please. Kamlesh, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So, so the second part of my session is going to be that, Abhijit. I'm going to focus on what can we do, how can we look after ourselves, and that's what I was saying, that unfortunately, not much of all this is even should be actually taught in school itself, right? So we build our resilience, we build our emotional health, but unfortunately we have to do it later in life. So what we are going to do in the second part of our session is that to really look at what are some of the simple ways in which we can take care of ourselves. And and just to add to what you asked, Abhijit, that's exactly what our online platform we are working on, that providing videos on different topics we have on self awareness, we have on stress management, we have on anger management, and these are all just 10 minutes, 12 minutes, small videos with exercises, which are very, very useful for people, because we've never indulged in things like this, right? We don't know, yeah. And they're simple, they're not rocket science at all. Yeah, I know I'm talking to an aeronautic. So it isn't rocket science. That's what I'm telling you. Right. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other reflection or question before we move on? Okay, I'm going to move on now. Okay, so there's an exercise for you right now, and this is for all of you. And so think of a time when you went through a difficult phase in your life, and how did you spring back? Reflect on the qualities in you that helped you in doing this. So just take a minute or two and just reflect, and maybe you want to put down some words, some things. Just do that, and then we can have a discussion, or yeah, first you. So I'll give you a few minutes. Let me know when you're all done. Are you all done? I'm going to stop sharing. Yeah. Have you all thought of it? A situation where you were able to spring back, and what were those qualities?
Yeah, so people have typed in the chat window.
Okay,
actually.
okay. Yeah, let me look at that. Okay. Okay, accepting reality and doing meditation. Yes. That's really, you've hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Accepting the reality. That's such an important part, but still so difficult. Anything else? What?
So Harish has written physical exercise and mind management through yoga and meditation.
How can we set priority as both are important? It's a question, huh? Yeah.
Good friends.
Yeah. So in fact, that's the advantage of yoga, because yoga helps us to do both. See, right? It helps us to take care of our physical health and our mind. So one can really, by practicing yoga, you can actually do both mind management and body management. Yeah, Swasti is saying staying positive. Okay. Yes, truly, having hope that things will get better. Listening to music and reading good books. Okay, nice. Yeah, see how each of us can really find ways in which we can deal with our, and that's really what it is, that I think we need to tap into our, what is our strength, what is it that keeps us going. Okay. Anybody else? There aren't more, no?
Yeah, I think that was it from the chat.
Okay. So let me go back to slide share and okay. So I wanted to actually share with you all an experience that I went through many, many years back. This was kind of, I had just begun my practice as a psychotherapist. And I thought I was well settled in Bangalore, and, and that's going to be kind of my life. And suddenly I had to relocate because, because of my husband's job. So we moved to Jaipur, and Jaipur is a smaller city, and I'm talking about a good 20 years or more back. Yeah, this was a long time, and we went into that city, and it's a new city. I had no friends, no colleagues, no contacts up, whatever. And I had actually, really kind of started, and I was settling down in my profession, and this was like a jolt for me, because I had, and it wasn't like a regular job, right? I couldn't apply to any company and get a job back. It wasn't like that. My profession was based on word of mouth, talking to people, people referring because they've known, they've either experienced the work with me or they've heard of me. So it's a totally word of mouth profession, right? So unlike, at least then it was. So I was, and counseling and therapy was not yet a part of the mainstream. If you look at now, I think Bangalore, at least, there's a lot of awareness, and there are a lot of people in this profession, and a lot of, like I said, companies and schools, and it's quite prevalent here. But in Jaipur at that time, it was not at all. And so I really went into one, what to say, kind of feeling low, directionless. My God, what am I going to do? And as it is, the first few months, it took me to really kind of settle down and get my house in order. And then there's just one day I was also very angry, and all of it, all the things that all of us go through. I was sad, I was angry, frustrated, all of that. And 3 months passed by, and I was just sitting in my, I had a, it was a fifth floor a house that I was, flat that I was staying in. And I was sitting in the terrace and just, kind of meditating. And I was saying, what is it? What can I do? How can I solve my problem? And I think as I meditated and as I became aware of all the feelings that I was going through, the anger, the sadness, and all of that, there was some kind of I think just the acknowledging of that helped me to release it. And that is the very beautiful part of the feelings, that when we actually acknowledge our feelings are, we express it, to, it's good to express it to others, but first we must acknowledge to ourselves, whatever we are feeling. And then when I did that, and I acknowledged that, it's not been a great place, and however, what is my strength and how do I kind of start looking at options. And I was actually just meditating, and I opened my eyes, and right through my, this, as my sight could take me, I saw a board saying Apollo Clinic. And it was 3 months since I had come to that house, and I was wondering, how come I never saw it? All these, I've been sitting in that terrace every day, yeah, and yet that board never caught my eye till then. So I just looked at it, and I said, "Wow, seems so close." And you won't believe it. I just picked up my bag and my house keys, and I just walked down, and I just walked towards that board. And I entered that, I found that place. It was hardly, not even a kilometer from where I was. And I went into the Apollo Clinic, and I asked them, I said, I'm new to the city, but this is my qualification. Is there a manager whom I can speak to? And this lady at the desk said, can you please wait? I'll check with him if he's free to see you. And she checked, and she came back, and she said, yes, he's free. He can see you. And I went into his room, and I told him that I'm a psychotherapist, and, I'm looking for work. And he looks at me and says, oh my God, you are God sent. I've been looking for a therapist, and I didn't know how to find one in this city. And it was really like serendipity, or you call it, just coincidence. One can name anything. But what I, through my reflection, realized is that when I acknowledged my own, process of feelings and everything, it just opened my mind to options. And that is what I find, that's how we build resilience. Yeah, when we acknowledge to ourselves, we acknowledge that this. And so somebody said acceptance. That's beautiful. Yeah, accepting our feelings, acknowledging our feelings, accepting our situation really opens us up to options that are available. Yeah. So then my reflections. So these were my reflections after that experience. Acceptance of my situation, looking at possibilities, and tapping on the resources available, being flexible. Yeah. So when I entered that clinic, I was open to, I said, whatever comes, I will see how to take it on. Yeah. Access my innate capacity for optimism. One of you put out on the chat, being positive. Absolutely. Yeah. And expressing gratitude for what I have. Yeah? So I find that also gratitude is a very important aspect, because it allows us to see what we already have. It stops us from always looking at what we don't have, but to acknowledge what we have. Yeah? And aligning myself to the present reality created new possibilities for me. So from this experience is what, I kind of came up with this. What is resilience? Resilience is the ability to withstand and cope with crisis and quickly bounce back and grow. And I think this has become more and more important for us in the last 2 years, where all of us have gone through our own challenges of many, many things. Some people have lost their jobs, some people have lost close people, some people have juggled with other difficulties. So many things have happened. Yeah? Ability to adapt to any kind of stress is the first step towards resilience. Recognition and acceptance of stress comes with self-awareness, and self-awareness, therefore, is the foundation on which resilience can be built. Yeah? So resilience can be built and cultivated. That's what we are going to understand now. So factors that build resilience, one is, of course, acceptance, optimism and hope, tapping on our resources and options, openness and flexibility, mindfulness, and gratitude. We just spoke about all of this. So basically, through this is what our self-awareness increases. So what is self-awareness? Self-aware, there are three elements to our psychological self: the feeling, thinking, and behavior. And self-awareness is really knowing what and how one is feeling, thinking at any given moment, and how that's impacting our behavior. So awareness of our thoughts and feelings are crucial to manage our behavior. So typically, when I'm thinking positive, I feel positive about myself and others, and therefore my behavior is also positive too. But exactly the reverse when I'm thinking and feeling negative. And bringing awareness to our thoughts and feelings allows us to become mindful. And this awareness also helps us to make changes in our behavior if needed. So at any given point of time, are we aware of what is my thought process? What is my feeling? While it may seem like a very, very simple thing, but I think it is crucial to solving our difficulties and moving on in life and building resilience. Because a lot of time we get carried away with the situation. We get carried away and become reactive to a situation. Yeah, we are actually angry, but we may express sadness, or we may be actually sad but express anger. So when we do that, this does not allow us to move ahead. It stops us, and that is the block that we experience. So very often, if you just reflect now, also you'll see that a lot of times you may have been sad, but you would have actually expressed anger. Yeah? And that doesn't help, because the other person is not able to understand you fully. And you also, because you've not expressed your real feelings, there is a stuckness within your body. And typically, the feeling, while feeling is typically understood as, laughing or crying or whatever, but actually feelings are very much stored in our body. And we have a sensation that goes along with that feeling. And when we express it appropriately, the sensation also gets released. But we typically, many of us, it takes a while for us to understand that. And to bring that awareness is what I am calling here self-awareness. Yeah. Any thoughts on this? Any reflections or any question? I can see some questions on the chat. Some. Yeah. Spirituality, patience, listening to doing nothing sometimes. Yeah, doing nothing sometimes is very important. I think the stillness that our mind needs is really very, very important in our kind of lives, where we just go on and on and on with our, our daily routines. To really step back and do nothing for a while helps our mind to become still. Yeah. Okay. So this is more on what we can actually do with our feelings. Acknowledging and accepting our feelings at any given moment helps us to connect with ourselves. When we hold on to our feelings without acknowledging, it creates a block in the body, which results in aches, pains, and illnesses. it's now scientifically proven that most of our physical illnesses have a psychological, cause for it. Yeah. For instance, cancer, they have now, that cancer is caused by when people hold on to a lot of resentment, right? And regret in life. It's very, very evident now. And so is with heart attacks and, high stress. High stress causes heart attacks and even strokes, for instance. Yeah, the blood pressure, high blood pressure is caused by high stress. People who are overwhelmed with their situation are very conflicted in what they are doing. All this impacts their body too. Expressing our feelings with close people helps us to unburden ourselves, thus reducing stress. And of course, talking and expressing our feelings helps us to unclutter our mind. And this in turn helps us to look at the real picture and accept the situation. So constantly, I think when I'm repeatedly saying expressing our thoughts and feelings, it is of course very much appropriate to the situation. It doesn't mean that you say whatever and shout at people and do all that. It's, I think, to really know when to be angry, how to be angry. Yeah, like Daniel Goleman said in his book Emotional Intelligence. He said, emotional intelligence is about how to be angry, when to be angry, why to be angry. Yeah, so that's what we are talking about. Just reading, moving towards nature. Somebody says, okay, nice. So this is really what I want to now focus on. So what can we do? And Abhijit, you were also asking that simple practices that we can all do when we have a difficult situation. Firstly, bringing awareness of the discomfort, yeah, and then to recognize and acknowledge that the discomfort is there and what is it about, and to sort of breathe in. Am I, is this happening to me again and again? And then to choose a new way to respond. And of course, then letting go of the old feeling and then practice a new way to respond. So let me give you an example here. Say, for instance, I have, I've had an argument with a colleague, for instance. Okay. Now, so that argument and that whole experience has given me a lot of discomfort. And so I'm aware of the discomfort. So I recognize and acknowledge, and I say, okay, what is happening? So I bring awareness to what happened in this situation exactly. What did my colleague say? What did I say? And what, to really be able to step back a little bit. And so I'm acknowledging and I'm also recognizing what went wrong in that situation. And breathe is really to be able to take and understand and accept that this is what happened. Yeah. So, and then the next step is to identify the pattern. So identify my pattern. So what did I do? So in a conflict, typically what I do is I withdraw. I don't say what I need to say at that point. And then I sulk. Yeah. So this is my pattern. I've recognized that. Yeah. So now I go on to say, okay, what is a new way that I can respond to? So I think of a couple of options that I can do differently. maybe I could have just said what I felt and left it at that. But this is what I'm feeling when you're saying this to my colleague. Not blaming the person, but expressing my feelings. And then, so by doing that, I let go of that regret or that guilt or that sulking thing of mine. So I let go of that. And I start practicing this new way of responding, which is expressing my feelings in appropriate ways. Yeah? And then that helps me to come out. So it's a full cycle of change that we can go through. So what I would like to do now is, if you can quickly note down these 7 points. Either you can take a picture of the diagram, or you can make a note of it. I will stop sharing because I would like to have an exercise here. Yeah, let me know when you've all noted it down or taken a picture, whatever is convenient to you. Done? Has everybody noted down? Yeah. Abhijit, should I stop share?
Yeah, so I have noted down. Maybe we can wait for others also to confirm. I don't know. Okay, so Harish also says yes, yes.
Yes, okay. So I'm assuming that this time is enough for people to have noted down. Sorry. Okay, so what we will do now is that, are you all familiar with breakout rooms? Is everybody aware of breakout rooms, Abhijit?
I'm not sure. I am, because I have used Zoom before.
Okay.
The others can respond.
Yeah, I can explain breakout rooms. Breakout rooms are basically virtual rooms. So I'm going to put you all in pairs, and I would like you to go through this exercise for yourself. Take one incident where you will go through each point and talk about it with with the other person with you. And so both of you take turns to do that. Yeah. And see what comes up. And basically the idea is to recognize what is your old pattern and how can you start with awareness, how can you come up with a new way of responding to a difficulty. Yeah, my instructions are clear? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I think I'm going to take Harish as the voice of the group and go ahead with that. Okay. So virtual, I'm going to put you all into breakout rooms. You will get in your screen, you will get join breakout room. Please say yes. And you will be in a virtual room with another person. Okay. There are 24. So okay. Okay. And I'm giving 20 minutes, so 10 minutes per person you can take. Yeah, I think that should be enough. So there you all go. I'll see you in 20 minutes. So I'm assuming that everybody's understood what you have to do. You have to go through every aspect in the cycle, discuss with the other person, and then we'll come in the larger group, we will discuss about what you got from this exercise. Yeah?